all feeling good? Are you all ready for the class? Okay, fine. Do you remember what we have learned in the last class? Shall I ask you some questions then? What is the title of the prose? All about a dog. Very good. All about a dog. What is the title of the prose? All about a dog. Who is the writer? Very good. A.G. Gardiner. Who is the writer? A.G. Gardiner. What is his full name? Alfred George Gardiner. Alfred George Gardiner. Isn't it? Then All About a Dog is taken from Leaves in the Wind. Leaves in the Wind is a collection of stories written by A.G. Gardiner, from which our first lesson is taken from. All About a Dog. What we have seen till: in a cold wind, a lady with a Pekingese dog enters into the bus, and the bus conductor was very strict. He did not allow the lady to enter into the bus. He said, unless you take the dog out of the bus will not move. And he pulled the bell. The bus stopped there. All the passengers in the bus shouted at him. Then they are asking him to give back their fares, but he did not give back their fares, and he is walking here and there on the pavement. One of the passengers in the bus asks his address. He gives his address calmly. A policeman came there. He looked into the bus, and all the passengers starts to complaining to him about this conductor. But the policeman, he did not respond to the passenger's complaint, isn't it? He just talked with two other constables. Then this conductor is talking with driver in one side. This policeman is talking with two other constables on the other side. One of the ladies in the bus gets very angry and she shouts at the conductor, and then to the policeman she is saying, they are like audience who are watching a drama here. Then one by one, all the people, all the passengers in the bus gets out, and finally only few people are there. Two women and a man with the dog, and also our narrator is also there in the bus. Finally, this lady is saying, okay, it's because of me. The problem comes because of me, so I shall go on to the top of the bus, so that all the problems will get solved. The dog is also blinking on the light. This is what we have seen in the last class, isn't it?
Dinner. It was a bitterly cold night, and even at the far end of the bus, the east wind that raved along the street cut like a knife. The bus stopped, and two women and a man got in together and filled the vacant places. One young woman was dressed in sealskin and carried one of those little Pekingese dogs that women in sealskin like to carry in their laps. The conductor came in and took the fares. Then his eyes rested with cold malice on the beady-eyed dog. I saw trouble brewing. This was the opportunity for which he had been waiting, and he intended to make the most of it. I had marked him as the type of what Mr. Wells had called the resentful employee, the man with a general vague grievance against everything, and a particular grievance against passengers who came and sat in his bus while he shivered at the door. "You must take that dog out," he said with sour venom.
"I shall certainly do nothing of the kind. You can take my name and address," said
the woman, who had evidently expected the challenge and knew the reply. "You must take that dog out. That's my order."
"I won't go on the top in such weather. It would kill me,"
said the woman.
"Certainly not,"
said her lady companion.
"You've got a cough as it is."
"It's nonsense," said her male companion. The conductor pulled the bell and the bus stopped. This bus doesn't go until that dog is brought out, and he stepped on to the pavement and waited. It was his moment of triumph. He had the law on his side and a whole bus full of angry people under the harrow. His embittered soul was having a real holiday. The storm inside rose high.
Shameful. He's no better than a dictator.
Why isn't he in the army?
Call the police. Let's all report him. Let's make him give us our fares back.
For everybody was on the side of the lady and the dog. That little animal sat blinking at the dim lights in happy unconsciousness of the rumpus, of which he was the cause. The conductor came to the door. "What's your number?" said one passenger, taking out a pocketbook with a gesture of terrible things. "There's my number," said the conductor imperturbably.
Give us our fares back. You've engaged to carry us. You can't leave us here all night.
"No fares back," said the conductor. 2 or 3 passengers got out and disappeared into the night. The conductor took another turn on the pavement, then went and had a talk with the driver. Another bus, the last on the road, sailed by, indifferent to the shouts of the passengers to stop.
They stick by each other. The villains.
Was the comment. Someone pulled the bell violently. That brought the driver round to the door. "Who's conductor of this bus?" he sneered, and paused for a reply. None coming from the passengers. He returned to his seat and resumed drumming a rhythm on the steering wheel. There was no hope in that quarter. A policeman strolled up and looked in at the door. An avalanche of indignant protests and appeals burst on him. "Well, he's got his rules, you know," he said genially. "Give your name and address."
That's what he's been offered, and he won't take it,
said the lady. "Oh," said the policeman, and he went away and took his stand a few yards down the street, where he was joined by 2 more constables. And still the little dog blinked at the lights, and the conductor walked to and fro on the pavement, like a captain on the quarter deck in the hour of victory. A young woman, whose voice had risen high above the gale inside, descended on him with an air of threatening and slaughter. He was immovable, as cold as the night and as hard as the pavement. She passed on in a fury of impotence to the 3 policemen, who stood like a group of statuary up the street watching the drama. Then she came back, imperiously beckoned to her young man, who had sat a silent witness of her rage, and vanished. Others followed. The bus was emptying. Even the dashing young fellow who had demanded the number, and who had declared he would see this thing through if he sat there all night.
Now the young lady goes on to the top of the bus, and so the conductor felt relaxed and he pulled the bell so that the bus went on. Now the lady goes on to the top of the bus. The problem gets over there and the conductor feels very happy as he proved himself as a perfect man. He is following all the rules, and now the conductor again pulled the bell. The driver starts the bus. Then the conductor stands on the footstep of the bus like he has won a victory. He feels very happy because he compelled the lady that you should not take your pet dog inside the bus, so you better go on to the top of the bus. At first the lady refuses. Now anyway she obeyed me. That's why I feel very happy. So he stands on the footstep of the bus and he feels like his face looks like as he has won a victory in a war. And he feels like he achieved something. He is now enjoying his victory. He is now enjoying his victory. What is his victory? Anyway, I have sent that lady out. I am a perfect man. I have followed all the rules. This is what going on in his mind, and he feels proud of himself. Now another problem comes. Do you know what's that problem? The engine in the bus gets stopped. Without the engine, can the bus move? No. So the engine in the bus gets repaired now. It is not working. It stopped working. So the conductor gets out of the bus and asks the help from the driver. Now the conductor and the driver are trying to start the engine again. It's very hard and it's a very difficult job. Without a mechanic, how can they start the engine again? It's impossible and it takes long time to get it ready. Now already it's a late night. It's very cold. Already the bus had stopped for so many hours. Now again a new problem arrives there. They are working very hard to get it start, but the engine is not working. It takes long time to get it ready. Now, this lady is coming back again into the bus. She has been waiting on the top of the bus for maybe half an hour. Now, this bus is also not moving. Why should I sit there on the top? Why should I sit there on the top in this cold weather? So, she comes back and she is sitting inside the bus. Now, the bus gets ready. And this conductor again saw this lady. Then again he pulled the bell. The bus stopped there. At once the lady enters to the top of the bus. He feels very happy. He feels that okay, I am a perfect man. I have achieved a victory. I have won a match. I won the victory. Now the bus gets repaired. The engine did not start. Again the bus stopped there and they are trying their level best to start the engine, to start the bus. But it takes a long time so that the lady again enters into the bus. By this time, this bus gets ready and the driver starts the bus. Now the conductor again saw this lady inside the bus. He started to shout at her and he pulled the bell again. Now the bus stopped again. Now the problem starts as like the first problem arrives there. At first, she refuses not to go on to the top. He compelled her to go on to the top. Fight going on, passengers shouted there, isn't it? Similarly, again the problem started there. Now, the conductor is walking on the pavement again. The driver is drumming on the steering wheel. The poor dog is simply blinking at the light. Now the lady is again refused. I will not go on to the top. Already she was there before 5 minutes. Now she is again saying, I will not go on to the top now. Finally, this man compelled her and finally she decides that okay, I will go. At last, only one passenger remains in that bus. Do you know who is that? Our narrator. At first, the narrator was there in the bus, isn't it? Now, the narrator is the only passenger remains in the bus. That is our narrator. And the conductor said to the narrator that I have got my rules. I am following the rules. The government has announced certain rules to be followed and so I am following the rules. Are we following the basic rules our government has announced? And in this lockdown days, are we following those rules? What are the rules to be followed? We should cover our face with a face mask. We should cover our nose and mouth. Are we covering our nose and mouth with that face mask? Most of us are not wearing that face mask and some of us are wearing it is like it is under our chin, isn't it? We are not following that rule. Are we following the social distancing? Are we following the social distancing which is announced by our government? No. Are we washing our hands often? Are we using sanitizers or soap to wash our hands? Are we keeping our environment clean? No, it's a question, isn't it? But here the conductor feels satisfied because he is following all the rules and he is compelling others also to follow the rules of the government. So he feels very happy and he wants to justify himself for his action, and that's why he is explaining this to the narrator. I am following the rules. I have got my rules. His face looks like he has won a victory. He wants to justify himself. He is saying that what I did is not wrong. I am just following the rules. I am asking the lady to follow the rules. Then our narrator speaks to the conductor. He is advising to the conductor. Okay, what you are saying is right. I agree. Rules are necessary for us. We have so many rules to follow. Some of the rules are very hard. For example, the rules of the road, the traffic rules. If we break those rules, what will happen? We will meet with an accident. Some problems will be there. The basic traffic signals, just think about that. The red light signifies stop, green is to go, and yellow is to get ready. Are we following that basic rule? No. So he is saying, the narrator is saying, I know, I am agreeing with you. I am agreeing with your point. Okay, you are following the rules. We have so many rules to follow. Some rules are very hard. These traffic rules that we have to follow. We have to follow it strictly. Without following the basic rules of the road, we will get into so many problems. If we try to break those basic rules, we will get into trouble. We may meet with so many troubles or accidents, traffic jams we have to face. So we should obey all the traffic rules, all the rules of the road. I am agreeing with you. Because if we are not following those rules, it is a danger for us. It is a dangerous thing. But there are some rules which we can ignore sometimes. These rules are for guidance. It will not affect people if we are not following that. We can apply or we can ignore with some common sense. We have to use our common sense whether to follow that rule or not. For example, wearing this mask is good for us or not? It will protect us from the virus, isn't it? Similarly, we have to think with common sense whether I should follow this rule or not. For example, pet animals are not allowed inside the bus, isn't it? This is a rule, and so this conductor is strictly following this rule. If any of the passengers in the bus get into the bus with a lion or a tiger or an elephant or a snake as their pet animal, if they enters into the bus like holding or carrying a lion or a tiger or a snake or an elephant with them as their pets, we can say pets are not allowed here, so please take it out. But here in this case, it's a pig's dog. It's a pet dog. It's very cute. It will never hurt others, isn't it? The conductor, if any passenger is carrying a lion or tiger, the conductor can say pets are not allowed. Here, this lady carries with her a soft, cute dog. It will not going to disturb others. If it disturbs, we can say that please take it out. But here it is not here in this case, isn't it? Rules in our hands are not to create trouble for the passengers. It should be used only in case of emergency. In case of emergency, in case of any emergency we can use. For example, if anybody is carrying a lion or a tiger with you, you can use this rule. But here, it is unnecessary. The lady with the dog is already, the weather is cold, the weather is not good. How can she stay there on the top of the bus? Just think about that with common sense. This is what the narrator is advising to the conductor. Rules should be used for the goodness of the people. It should not trouble them. It should not trouble the passengers. It should not trouble the people. It should not create any discomfort to the passengers. So, with common sense, you can apply whatever rules you want. Now, the conductor understands it very well. The narrator gets off from the bus now and the conductor greets him pleasantly. The conductor said good night. The words are very pleasant because he understands everything. The unusual loss sometimes looks like a funny thing. For example, we have to think why they are saying so. As I have said, singing after sunset in Hawaii is prohibited there. It is because it may affect the patients in the hospital or the old people and also the nature. In Hawaii we can see a variety of birds and animals. It's a good tourist spot. So, the Hawaii government has announced that you should not sing loudly after the sunset. It may affect the birds and animals there. It also affect the old people. It also affect the patients who are in the hospitals. That's why the government has announced such a rule. So, we should follow the basic rules which ought to be followed. And this unusual laws, we have to think logically, we have to use our common sense and then we should follow. This is what the narrators advise not only to the conductor but also to us. Have you all understood, students? Students, it's time to read the text. Take page number 14. Look at the bottom of the page. Take page number 14. When she had disappeared up the stairs, the conductor came back, pulled the bell, and the bus went on. He stood solely triumphant while his conduct was savagely discussed in his face by the remnant of the party. Then the engine struck work and the conductor went to the help of the driver. It was a long job and presently the lady with the dog stole down the stairs and re-entered the bus. When the engine was put right, the conductor came back and pulled the bell. Then his eye fell on the dog and his hand went to the bell rope again. The driver looked round. The conductor pointed to the dog. The bus stopped and the struggle recommenced. With all the original features, the conductor walking the pavement, the driver drumming his fingers, the little dog blinking at the lights, the sealskin lady declaring that she would not go on the top and finally going. I have got my rules, said the conductor to me when I was the last passenger left behind. He had won his victory but felt that he would like to justify himself to somebody. Rules, I said, are necessary things, but there are rules and rules. Some are hard and fast rules, like the rule of the road, which cannot be broken without danger to life and limb. But some are only rules for guidance, which you can apply or wink at, as common sense dictates, like the rule about the dogs. They are not a whip, but in your hand to scourge your passengers with, but an authority for an emergency. They are meant to be observed in the spirit, not in the letter, for the comfort and not the discomfort of the passengers. You have kept the rule and broken its spirit. You want to mix your rules with a little good will and good temper. He took it very well, and when I got off the bus, he said, "Good night," quite amiably. Shall we look at the new words? Struck work, stopped working, recommenced, started again, wink at, ignore something. It's an idiom. Scourge, cause suffering or a cause of great disaster. Have you all understood this lesson, students? Thus, today we have completed successfully our first lesson, our first prose, all about a dog. Thank you.